And so I'm Greg Kimsey.
Kamal Richards.
Janet Landisberg.
Morgan Holmgren.
Juan Gamboa.
Thanks everyone. So we have an agenda that's been prepared for us. Does anyone have any amendments to the agenda? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Yeah, I
Motion
moved to, go ahead.
Thank you, Janet. I think I saw Kamal's second to that motion.
Yeah, I second that.
And any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, say aye. Indicate
Aye.
Thank you. So this next item is approval of the minutes from the last meeting. So is there a motion to approve those minutes?
I approve.
Yes.
Thank you, Juan.
Well.
Second.
Second.
Thank you, Kamal. And then any discussion of that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor, raise your hand and indicate aye.
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 Opposed? No opposed. No opposition. Thank you. Let's see. Next is public comment. I know we have at least one member of the public here with us today, but Tina, were there any written comments submitted to the committee?
There were no written comments, and I can ask anybody from the public that would like to speak. Please press *3 on your phone and I will unmute you.
Do we have any people coming in on a phone, Tina?
We have 2 on the phone, but they are not raising their hand, so no public comment.
Very good. We also have a member of the public who's with us on video call, Chuck Green. Chuck, did you have anything you want to say at this point in time?
No, thank you. I'm co-chair of the Charter Review Commission and chair of the subcommittee for the commission that put the 5-district map together for the ballot measure. So I'm here as a resource to you if you have any questions on how that map was developed and finalized.
All right, thank you. I might, unless the committee objects, I might take a moment now and ask the committee members if they have any questions of Chuck regarding the creation of the 5 county council districts. If you'd like to have Chuck speak in more in depth about how those were created or not, we can move on.
Nope, not at this time.
Nope.
Oh, I do have a question.
Go ahead, Janet.
So when you did the lines, I can't tell from the map that we have, you didn't cross any city or jurisdictional lines, did you? Like when you created the different districts?
We may have. What we were trying to do with this map is be consistent with the state redistricting statute, RCW. And so we were trying to keep population balance. We were trying to respect natural boundaries like rivers and streams. We were trying to keep basically keep things as compact as possible and as contiguous as possible. So in some cases, there might have been crossing of city boundaries, but for example, City of Vancouver extends through multiple councilor districts. So it was probably a very small factor into any tweaking that was done toward the end, but definitely not a major criterion.
But for the other cities like Camas, Washougal, Ridgefield, Battleground, do they cross lines?
I believe that,
not the unincorporated sections.
Yeah, no, I believe the southern part of Battleground might be across the District 5 and District 4. The City of Camas, the part of the western, I don't think City of Camas crossed that any. I think that's fully contained within District 4. La Center, Battleground, and Yakult were all fully contained within District 5.
This is Paul from GIS. If I could jump in and share my screen, I could put up a map of what we're talking about, just to have a visual. Greg, if you could, or I'll need to be able to share my screen. There, I think, there we go. Can people see the map?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
Can you zoom in on that, Paul?
Yeah.
Specifically battleground?
Unfortunately, I'm not seeing the map, so I don't know what I've done.
Uh-oh.
Oh, there it
Actually,
goes.
it looks to me like council district follows the southern boundary of the city of Battleground. It does not go into the city of Battleground.
Yeah, that might have been, I know we made some small tweaks toward the end to try to keep things, cities contiguous as much as possible. So that is probably one of those small tweaks to try to do that.
Right.
Can
Yeah,
we go
Greg, you're correct, Greg, that looks like the boundary is right on the edge or really follows the city limits here of
Right.
Battleground.
What about in Camas and Washougal? Are they all in one?
I am seeing that they are. Camas, Washougal are all in District 4.
It looks like the dividing line there is 164th.
That
So
is
even some of
correct. And
Vancouver is in 4.
those we considered crossing barriers. The rule says barriers, natural barriers, but we figured that I-205 and major roadways like 164th also are kind of barriers by themselves. So we tried to respect that. We also tried to respect, this map started with a version that the freeholders prepared back in 2014. It's somewhat similar to that, but when we put the population estimates into their map, District 5 had a lot more population now than it did back in 2014. So some of those boundaries like District 5 were extended to the south. That's why you see that kind of a thumb of District 5 extending into the eastern Salmon Creek area.
Chuck, Janet, does that answer your question, Janet?
Yes.
Chuck, I have a question maybe for Paul as well. You mentioned that the Charter Review Commission had attempted to equalize populations in these 5 districts. Do you know, like, what was with the information you had available at the time, what was the variance from the sort of perfect population number?
So I do want to note that we were basing it on 2020 population estimates. The census results by precinct were not available to us at the time we needed to put the map together. The result was we were within 1%, and actually less than 1% with each of the districts of the target.
Yeah, thank you.
Right, I'll bring that up. Right, using the tools at the time, they were very close. That was the 4 district map. Yeah.
I also should note while Paul's pulling that up is that we made sure we did not split any precincts.
Thank
And
you,
Mr.
Chuck.
Kimsey should be thankful for that.
Very thankful. Very thankful.
Yeah. So is GIS.
Yeah.
Yeah, on this 5 district map, it's a little blurry, but there is a table showing the variance from target, and it's very small. It's not in percentages, but it's certainly respectable.
Yeah. Good. Well, thank you, Paul. Any other questions for co-chair of the Clark County Charter Review Commissioner, Chuck Green? Good. Well, Chuck, thanks for your comments.
I will hang back and be available for the rest of the meeting in case questions do come up, but I will put myself on mute and turn off my video so you can continue your meeting.
Okay, thanks, Chuck. Okay, Paul, you have a presentation for us.
Yeah, let's call it more of a discussion, but I can certainly lead. I've got a number of topics to go through. First of all, I think the last thing the committee received from me was an email on the 11th that had 2 items. One was just an update to the map that we're looking at right now. the web map, making the 5-district plan the default. 4 districts are still available through the layers, turned on and off and whatnot. And I had cleaned up a few items as well, updated the text, talking about the 5-district map. Secondly, I wanted you to be, my second topic on the email was talking about the census data and something they call, well, really error in the census data. There's nothing too much we can do about it, but it's something I wanted you to be aware of. Intentional error or noise injected into the census data, particularly at the block level. You'll likely hear about it. It has been in the newspapers. Right, so here we're kind of zooming into an area. And I mean, looking at it, so we're looking at the census blocks in red, and the numbers represent the population. And looking at these, it's like, wow, that's pretty exact. That's pretty impressive. But yeah, I wanted you to know that, as I said, the Census Bureau, with the goal of protecting the privacy of census respondents, have injected error into their numbers here. The risk, really, what's possible with today's computing and various data sources is that someone could, I guess, reverse engineer or really use this data to get back to the really household level information. And without the error, a person or organization could do that. Again, with all the census data, with data from other sources and computing power that's available these days, well, they were able to do that with the 2010 census. And I included a couple of articles, and as one of them said, that a little bit of error has always been, well, most in recent times has been injected into the census data, but with 2020, a new level has been added. Just to give you another example of that, what I see, I mean, as we're looking here, this looks pretty exact. Looking further through the data, I'll show you some examples of what I'm finding. So this is around Fort Vancouver High School on 18th.
Mm-hmm.
And what I have highlighted here is the school campus, plus some commercial buildings over here. Then here to the south is a portion of park. I think it's the Burnt Bridge Creek area. And you see that this highlighted parcel, well, both highlighted census blocks have populations to them. And so this is an example of where, yeah, some population numbers have been likely redistributed to neighboring census blocks. Other areas are fine. Here's looks like a bus barn here, and some commercial areas. So we've got 0. But I've seen other areas that are kind of in power line right away that have a little bit of population. So that's what I wanted you to be aware of. And then, as I said in my email, the solution to this, or at least to make it not so bad, is to aggregate it. It's aggregate these blocks into bigger chunks, which is what we're doing with the precincts. Are there any questions on that?
And Paul, I don't recall, I think we had this discussion last time, but there's a certain level, these numbers are, that noise goes away, right? So
Yes, yeah.
at the state level, the noise goes away. So it's accurate as the census information is accurate. Is it also, does the noise also go away at the county level? So if you look at the entire county?
I don't believe so. You know, I haven't, what the Census Bureau has said is that there is no error at the state level. And as you start to drill into the data, you'll find a little bit of error, little additional error.
Okay.
So I would, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, as Chuck Green's commented earlier, you do the best you can with the tools you have available to you at the time.
Exactly.
All right, thank you.
Were there any additional questions on that?
I don't see any.
Just maybe just one question. Is the map going to get updated with those census numbers? Has it already been updated, or?
It has been updated.
It is, okay.
The web map has the latest census numbers.
Okay.
Again, you've got to drill in or zoom in. As we zoom out, those will turn off. Well, actually I have, yeah, they do turn off. But by default, let's go to the default level or just starting level here. Right, as you zoom in, the precincts come on.
Mhm.
Zoom in a little further, and the population will come on of the precincts, and also the, let's turn those census blocks off. Right. So this is our improvement of the data by aggregating the census blocks into precincts.
And Paul, at this level, you have gone through and done your splitting of the precinct blocks and allocating the population to each precinct?
Yes, yes, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit, but yes. So
please don't. I got so confused last time.
And I could, let's see, just to, oh, I was looking for that area around Fort Vancouver High School. But in a nutshell, that area that we are looking at for Fort Vancouver High School, yeah, I think this is it. Those, you know, the school area that had population, the park area that was here that had the population, is all kind of folded into this larger precinct. And again, as the Census Bureau has said, that's going to improve the accuracy. Back to the map here, when you first come in, with the layers button here, I believe the census blocks is turned off, as noted by this. This is kind of new to me. This used to be a checkbox, but now it's this eyeball to show the census blocks. Just click that, and you'll see the census blocks. And this, yeah, this is the latest. This is the 2020 data. This is what we saw earlier. There's Fort Vancouver High School. In fact, you can, oops. And yeah, Fort Vancouver High School and the park. Yeah, these population numbers are just folded into the larger precinct. Was there another question?
I wanted to get into, you mentioned something about household data.
Yes.
Will that be added into this map at some point if you're able to get a hold of those figures?
Oh, as in the number of households?
Not the list of number of houses. Like, I think I'm making more towards the income of of families and in those households. Is that data that you can get, Paul?
That is not part of the
Okay.
2020 census release.
Okay.
That is, however, that is available from other sources.
Okay.
Paul, maybe if I might ask, let's let Paul finish. I think you have some more of your presentation to do, Paul, and then
Yeah,
maybe general questions after that then.
yeah. I just want to make sure we had questions
Yeah.
covered regarding the differential privacy and the as well as the latest web map and whatnot. So good. All right. The what I've been working on is an update to the spreadsheet. There was a request that I send out an updated copy of the spreadsheet of precincts that included population and also to add the 5 district code to it. So basically adding a column to that. So that's done. It's going to look
And say, Paul, I don't think we got that.
right. It has. I haven't sent it out.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah. Thank you for clarifying that. I just this is kind of what it's going to look like here. So I basically my workflow is I put it together here in this in the GIS software, and what I've been this was relatively easy, adding the 5th district or the 5 district plan as a column to the spreadsheet. The other request I had was to add a flag showing or communicating whether the precinct had shared census block. And that was a little more of a challenge, and I just finished it up yesterday. So again, to go back, we're talking about, right, for the full example, we've talked about this before, where for the most part, the census blocks are all contained within the precincts, and that's wonderful. Those are great situations. In some areas like this, there are census blocks that cross a precinct boundary, and so what we do is we take the appropriate amount of population. So on this census block with 375, we take an appropriate amount and allot it to the precinct 604, and the rest of it we allot it to 625. And the request was to flag precincts like this where this is happening, where a block is basically shared between 2 or more precincts. So I've just wrapped that up, and it'll just be at this point, it'll just be a yes or no type of attribute. And I guess I wanted to talk a little bit more about that, because there's I guess a certain tolerance that I'm aiming for. I mean, obviously, this is a very clear situation where you need to be aware of this, where it's a large overlap. There are several situations where the overlap like this is just minor. It's just very small, and I'm not going to. I'm inclined not to highlight that precinct because of that minor overlap, and I wanted to show you an example of that. I'm calling this the river sliver because, let's see, let's turn one more thing on. There we go. Okay. Ugh. Well, all right. So here's a precinct, 910. It's out in Washougal, and for the most part, it's fine. The census block's on, but they're really kind of bold. It's a little better. Okay. And what I'm showing you is, well, first off, the precinct boundary extends across the river into, that's unfortunate. That's probably not intentional. It probably was intended to follow the Washougal River there. Maybe at a different water level, the Washougal River flowed over, this far. But at this point, this precinct is crossing into this other census block. And when it's doing that, you'll recall that I'm creating points for every person in the area. And because of this overlap, precinct 910 is picking up about 8 or 9 people from across the river, really. Again, these points are created in a kind of a random yet uniform manner. And so this is just picking it up. And in the scheme of things, not that significant. So I'm inclined not to flag this precinct as something that's really sharing to a significant degree a neighboring census block. Does that sound reasonable to you?
So sounds reasonable to me, and I'm also inclined to ask Rich Cooper in Elections Office why that precinct boundary goes across the river and make an adjustment in the future.
Yeah. I was, as I said, sometimes that we see things like this because of the river level. Yeah, here, I mean, I know we're going down into the weeds, but if I turn on the aerial photo, the beach, there's a portion of the river that's, well, it's rocks now, but it's really trying to show the shoreline here. Oftentimes like this, the middle of the river is a better delineator.
Well, it's interesting, Paul, because I don't think there's any people who live on that immediately to the east of that precinct boundary along that river. That's gravel. Right. I happen to know that geographic area pretty well. There are no people who live right there.
Right. And that's another thing I wanted to mention. We talked about trying to refine these dots to really kind of isolate them to where people actually live. And I looked at some options of that. And I mean, we do have some tools that, we know which, for example, we know which parcels where people live and what parcels are not residential. So there's a potential of kind of blocking out. So I don't know if you can see this. What I've just drawn in the gray are parcels where nobody lives, parcels that are not residential. So the idea is to try to isolate these dots in areas, outside of this, outside of where people are living, or really can put it another way, confine the dots to where people are living. That would be really interesting. That would be very tempting. What I found, though, is that with that differential privacy, and as I showed you earlier, population showing up on school grounds and in parks, that we would lose that population. For example, if I go back to this area. Yeah, so, these are, on this method I'm describing of trying to basically erase areas where no one lives, we would lose the population that's in this school ground and park.
Because it's assigned to that census block.
Right.
Because of the noise error thing.
Yeah. So I'm not feeling really good about, I mean, it's tempting to try to do that, to try to, I mean, conceptually, it sounds like a great idea, but I'm really uncomfortable with that because we would lose some of this population on the side that's been reallocated to as part of the differential privacy program.
So does anyone have questions on this part of Paul's presentation?
No.
Paul, do you have any, what else are you gonna talk about, Paul?
This is about it. As I said, I'm preparing a spreadsheet. And I think I'll probably send it out today. I just want to make another pass on it. As I said, it's going to look a good bit like last time. It'll just have.
Well, unless someone disagrees with me, I think you can delete any reference to 4 districts. We're not dealing with 4 districts.
Yep. That I can do that. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So are there any general questions for Paul? We'll get into a discussion here soon, but are there any kind of general questions for Paul relating to the GIS stuff?
That's just a little clarification for me. So you mentioned like a 1%, that would be a plus or minus in the variance, but District 5 is like 5,000 people, so that we're down.
Oh, is this Chuck or is it?
Oh, this is Juan. I'm sorry.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, let's go back to that. So this is what you're referring to?
Right. So I mean,
Right.
is there 500,000 people in District 5 right now? It's like,
I'm sorry?
I mean, so if you said 1%, that would be 500,000 people in that district, right? So did I miss something?
Let's go back to this. So this is the original map. I hope I'm not going back too far, but this is the map that the Charter Review Commission created back in May. And using the population tools that they had, they balanced the population very well. Here the adjustments were within the hundreds. We don't have percentages here, but they're within the hundreds, which is really quite good. Using the same boundaries, when we use the census data, the 2020 census data, we found that the differences were much larger. And what this is telling us is, especially if we click on this, let's see, covers the whole thing up. All right. So what this is telling us is that District 5 is 5,000 people below the target population. So the full county population, according to the 2020 census, is approximately 503,000. So 5 districts, you divide 500,000 by 5, and you've got about 100. So this is the target population here. And so what we're seeing is that according to the census, the current population of District 5 is 95,000. Target is 100,000. So we're about 5,000 below the target, or 5% or so.
Okay.
So what needs to happen is the boundaries. Yeah, and looking at these, the only district that's really spot on is District 4. The others, as I zoom in here, oops, let's turn that off. Again, the precincts come on because it's a scale dependent thing, but if that's in our way, we can turn that off. So yeah, District 3 is, you see the District 3 is above, so that could give up some population by moving the boundaries. In fact, 1, 2, and 3 are all above the target population. So by moving boundaries, we could, those will give up some population to District 5.
So would that preclude us from even using District 4 people? Maybe even if we put it negative to just 1%. So, I mean, I don't know how we're going to pull
It
5.
seems like that would be a mistake to try to set up that as a rule to me. Like,
Well, I mean, I'm
since
saying where are we
since
going to
I
get
mean we can't
5,000 people from the other 2 districts, right? Because there's only 2 and 3, I guess, that we could do that. Right?
right. So it's like I think all of the boundaries will probably have to change, just because
It would.
District 1 is going to have to change some boundaries with District 2 and 3, and then those will also have to change.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think we
Yeah.
should try to lock in District 4.
So that begins to get us into the heart of the matter here.
Mhm.
But Juan, did you get your question answered, do you think?
Yeah. So,
Okay.
thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I think the crux of that is the Charter Review Commission had population estimates that are different than the population estimates we have now. And so that's why we have this difference. While the
Mhm.
So yeah, I would like to move into I guess I should have made a motion to amend the agenda, but I'm gonna move the go to the order and to prior to the next meeting schedule item. So it is, as I'm sure you all are aware, the state committee failed to approve a redistricting plan for the legislative and congressional districts. That task now moves on to the Washington State Supreme Court, which has until April 30 to complete its work. So the what I think our original plan of taking the state plan and layering the county plan on top of it, using existing precinct boundaries and bingo bongo bingo, we're done, isn't going to happen. We still are faced with the state law that says the county redistricting needs to be completed by December 31. So it is, I guess my recommendation, I think it's the task of this committee then, is to begin the process of creating a plan for the county districts and working as quickly as possible to get that to the county council for their consideration and ultimately their adoption. So we are at the point, I think, now where we provide to our redistricting master our suggestions on what the map looks like. So any comments to any of that?
Yeah, Greg, now we can submit different variations of the map to the council, correct?
My understanding is, yeah, I don't think so, Kamal. What I believe is that the county committee adopts a plan, and then it submits that plan to the council. The council then has the opportunity to adopt it or to amend it, and then what the council adopts is the final plan. But no, I believe our committee's responsibility or our charge is to provide a plan to the council.
Greg, can I just clarify? So the plan, if we are going forward to try to meet the December 31st deadline, is that we'll use the existing precinct boundaries rather than for changed precincts that would have happened had the other plan been approved, had the statewide legislative districts been approved.
Yeah, that's certainly my strong desire and recommendation, that we take the precinct boundaries as they currently exist and rebalance the 5 council districts using those existing precinct boundaries as they exist right now. Janet?
I'm looking at the map and I'm just trying to understand over at the far western part of the county why there's this weird zigzag on District 2 and District 5. Why does it, is that?
You mean this over here near the river, or?
I think around Vancouver Lake and north of.
Above Vancouver Lake, the other zigzag, that's just,
Oh, that's Lake River towards Philida and Richfield.
Are you referring to this area here?
yes.
Yeah. Well, one, no one lives there, but why that's there, I'm not sure.
I believe Vancouver city limits goes up that far north along Vancouver Lake.
Okay.
I just would like to see our map not have that funny zigzag because it looks like we're doing something funny to the population. And if there's no population, then why are we doing that line?
Right.
Well, I think to bring it into, can you put the city limits on there, Paul?
This is
Yeah.
Chuck Green. That we never did anything with that, so that's a holdover from the freeholders version of that. So we kind of left it. I also want to point out that in our iterations, there were some adjustments that we needed to make between the area where District 5, District 2, and District 3 come together. And so we actually ended up shifting things a little to the north with those boundaries into what is now District 5 to try to balance population. So that's where, if you wanted to look at something, that's where we made some adjustments to try to balance things out before.
Let's see, what was it? Oh, Greg, just to respond to you, the city boundary is south of that. So here in the gray is the city boundary.
Right, so it falls, maybe Janet, so in the near Vancouver Lake, that explains that that precinct boundary there.
Right, this kind of leg here, or yeah, peninsula. That's all based on the city boundary.
Yeah.
But
and-
above it is just, I mean, I understand the freeholders had it, but if it doesn't have population, why can't we just get rid of that little finger?
Well, I know there's a logical explanation for it. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to suspect. Paul, can you put on the legislative districts on this map?
Not. Oh, that's a good question. Not on this map.
Okay. I suspect it follows legislative district boundaries. But I can, you know what? I can get an explanation for the committee as to why that funny little thing sits there, and we'll provide that.
Okay.
What precinct is that, Paul? That's this. Can you move up north?
Yeah, let me turn on the precincts and. Oops, too much.
Oops.
So this is precinct, or this is around precinct 8, 481.
Is that 481 or 480?
Well, there's, well, 480 to the north and 481. And then what's the actual precinct that's,
Is that its own precinct?
it looks like it may be,
Part of 490?
is it 507? No.
Can you,
Oh, it is 507. It's, oops,
can you scroll down to that little funny leg that,
yeah.
can
Oh,
you,
I'm sorry, it's 490.
yeah, can you scroll down just one spot a little bit further down? So 490 includes that piece down there? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so that's one explanation of well, that's I'm sure that's the primary reason why the 5 district map shows this area as just following the precincts.
Well, that, as Chuck said, the 5 district map, when it was created, didn't change this piece at all. That precinct has been there for, the shape of that precinct's been there for a long time. But I'll provide information to the committee as to why that 490 has such a weird shape. So, you do, as you look around the county and you look in detail at these precincts, you will find some weird things like that. Well, like we saw the Washougal one that went across the river.
Right.
I mean, that's not in compliance with the general guidelines of the state law. So but I guess what I'm really looking for is a discussion among the committee as to how we move this forward in terms of getting a map that we can all consider adopting and providing to the county council for their consideration.
So I have a question for Paul. Is it easier for you just to tweak it a little bit with all the drawing things you have to kind of propose something that would equalize the population and then have us just say, well, let's tweak it this way or that way?
Yes, I could do that. I could make an option that just basic on my I mean, this is going to be kind of a domino effect or domino. Well, you know, as I said, I think the lines are going to have to move towards District 5. So I could make it 2 options, in fact, just to balance the population based on existing precinct boundaries.
And then we could have a discussion about, well, we kind of want to tweak it a little this way or that way. Like
Yeah.
you would do the computer part because it's,
Right, because I guess what we have, I mean, you will have the spreadsheets of the precinct numbers and the ability to look at the precincts here. As I made changes, I could show you or I could report to you what precincts are changing. And go from there. So that is an option.
and the
Can
reason
we-
that I'm suggesting that is it makes it more nonpartisan if you start the tweaking.
Right.
Can we give you some suggestions, Paul, with which precincts to move in? Because I have a lot of different ideas in my mind, but can we email that to you and you can create what that map would look like based upon those precincts being moved?
Yes.
Are you going to
Does
share that
what-
same with everybody?
Yeah,
Kamal,
we'll
if
be
you're
able
gonna
to share. Yeah.
Yeah. So the options or the alternatives could be, would be placed here on this web map. They would have different names, whether it's alternative A or alternative 1, alternative 2. But yes, so we could have, when the layer button is opened up, there could be a whole set of alternatives listed here to turn on and off and review.
And why don't you label them A, B with letters so we don't mix up the numbers from the districts?
Mhm.
Yeah. Perfect.
What if would it be okay just to label with our names, like the Kamal plan, the Janet plan?
Sure.
That would be fine.
It's not coming up with a plan.
I was just thinking that's easier for me, it'd be easier to think about it that way, but
Yeah.
maybe that's too much
I like
personal.
that. I like that
personal.
idea.
You like that?
Mhm.
Of course you do. The Kamal plan.
Right.
Well, of course, I mean, thinking forward, I mean, if this is going to be reported on in the Columbian at all, you may want to think about how
Yeah, that's a good
things
point.
are being labeled.
Yeah, good point.
Oh, that's right. Bust us out for something.
Yeah, we can.
A suggestion, when we have like 5 different layers or whatever, we're going to come up with some ideas. At what point are we going to try to get more input from the community before we finally maybe come
So-
up with something?
Yeah, thank you, Janet. We are required to have a public meeting prior to our vote on the plan.
Wasn't that part of the discussion for our next agenda item?
What's that, Morgan?
Isn't that part of the discussion for our next agenda item?
It certainly could be. It could be. We can, yeah, we should probably be helpful to talk about, you know, when can we get the kind of draft plans? When can we take a vote on which draft plan we approve, or that 2/3 of us approve? When will we have the public meeting? And then when we have the meeting of this committee to take into account comments from the public and to consider the possibility of voting to adopt a final plan of this committee that's then given to the council. So yeah, yes. But the first part of this is to get these what I'll call draft plans in front of us so we can decide what we're going to present to the public for their comments. So we've heard from Janet and Kamal on ideas about creating a draft plan. Juan or Morgan, do you guys have any input or thoughts?
I'm good for now.
I like the idea of starting with Paul and then moving towards us tweaking it from there. But I'm fine with whatever we decide to. You know, if someone wants to submit a plan before we see what Paul has to suggest, we can talk about 3 plans or 4 plans, whatever.
One that works for you?
That works for me.
Okay, works for me. So I think what I hear is, Kamal, you're going to provide to Paul your ideas about what precincts go where, and then Paul's going to create a plan that reflects that.
Mhm.
And Paul, you're going to create 2 other plans that, using existing precinct boundaries, balances out the populations using the current estimates.
Yes, I mean, just to, again, restate it, I will come up with something I'll call the, trying to think of a good name. Well, I'm gonna create 2 plans, one with Kamal's input and a second that's just an example of what it could be.
Well, I thought you said to Janet you could create 2 plans showing 2 different options about how the
Oh, sure.
but maybe Janet, what?
That's fine. I just wanted to, that gives us some looking, and if Kamal has his, then we have 3 to look at and just see.
Okay.
Okay. Kamal, how quickly could you provide those your input to Paul?
I'm gonna do something today,
Okay.
and get some because I've been tinkering around with the map, and I was going to provide, so it'll be which precincts are moving to which district.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Spreadsheet.
it'll be like a spreadsheet, and it'll have District 1, these precincts, District 2, etc.
Right.
Paul, if you receive that information from Kamal today, how quickly do you think you can create these 3 maps?
Let's aim for middle
Right.
of next week or so.
Friday? Did you say Friday, Paul?
Not tomorrow, but certainly by Tuesday or Wednesday of next week.
I heard Tuesday.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Do you think we could have a meeting Tuesday morning at 8:30 to review those, or can we have them? Do we have to do it Tuesday afternoon?
Let me. Well, see. Let's see. I'm just kind of going through my head. Let's say for Tuesday morning.
Good man. Good man. Oh, now I have to ask the committee members. You guys available to meet Tuesday morning?
I am. Just checking my
I am.
calendar right now.
Yeah, me too. Now that I push Paul.
I need to check my calendar, but yeah, that's.
Yeah, everyone look at their calendars.
Yeah.
Let me see.
Had a couple of instances last week where I double booked myself. So
So that means we're canceling meeting for Monday, correct? because we were supposed to have a meeting on the 22nd.
Oh, right, a regular
We're
meeting.
talking the 23rd though.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm available.
Okay.
could we meet at 8:30 on Tuesday, the 23rd? I think that I have to check. Is Tina listening? Tina, would that have to be an emergency meeting or something, or special meeting with?
No, I could put out a special meeting notice for that.
Okay. So
Yeah.
let's go through this. Is
Yeah.
everyone okay meeting on the 23rd at 8:30?
Yes.
Yes.
Juan?
Yep.
All right, good. Excellent. And Paul, thank you for doing that.
Certainly.
So Paul, when are we going to be able to look at it so we could be prepared for the meeting?
Right. I'll aim for Monday afternoon. I'll send out an email. It'll be the same map here with the additional. And should I mean, there's three efforts. Would you like an email as I finish each map, or would you like them all in one?
I think it'd be good to send them out as get them done.
Okay, will do.
How,
All in one.
Paul, how difficult would it be to also send out just the list of precincts by district when you update the map?
Let me, as in a total list of precincts?
Or just, yeah, just like,
Yeah.
just like you had with the previous one where you have all the precincts listed and then like a column that just numbers
Yeah,
which
right.
district they're in.
Yeah. Well, I'm tempted to say I mean, it's doable, but that's
An extra effort.
the
Yeah,
map done. That would be extra work. That may be after the meeting.
okay, that's fine.
I'm wondering if we should. Okay, so next Tuesday we're going to have 3 maps. I doubt we're going to take a vote to adopt one of those maps next Tuesday, although we could. But I wonder if we should schedule a meeting like the end of next week, like on that Friday, to with the idea of making changes to the map and possibly voting on that Friday to adopt the plan.
That is the day after Thanksgiving.
I know.
That is a holiday for our office.
Oh, you're close now? Oh, I guess that's true. Well, I'm out of town, but I can still get online.
Why not the 29th of November then? Monday morning.
Monday morning, the 29th.
That works for me.
I think I've already got one on the calendar for that day.
And I guess that gives everyone more time to kind of look at the maps in more detail and stuff too. So, can we say Monday morning, the 29th at 8:30?
Yeah, I have
Fine by
another
me.
question on looking for it on the scheduling. Should we
Yeah.
be looking at, if we're going to have a public hearing, are we going to want an article in the Columbian so that they could give the population more information so that maybe it would encourage participation?
Yeah, I think when we get that, well, certainly when we schedule the public meeting, we should we should issue a news release telling people about it. And I think that's and I forget I think the public meeting has to occur. I think we have to give 7 days notice for that public meeting. So the
If
meeting,
I'm not mistaken, I think it's 10 days. Is that correct, Amanda?
Amanda.
Hi, I'm here. So it actually, because of the redistricting committee, there isn't anything specifically governing the public notice required for the redistricting meetings. Usually for county council meetings, if they're going to adopt an ordinance, it is a 10-day notice. We have determined, after consulting with MRSC, that 7 to 10 days is a reasonable amount of time to give notice for public hearing.
Because of the public meeting that this committee is going to conduct, there's not going to be any action taken. It's just an opportunity for the public to give to provide comments to the redistricting committee, and then we can then take those comments into account as we finalize this plan. But
Are we going to meet at night for the public?
we can.
I would think more people would be available to do it.
Yeah, we certainly can. But again, to your prior question, Janet, about informing the public of the committee, does that work for you? That when we adopt the plan, when this committee adopts a plan, we then issue a news release informing them of when the public meeting will occur, and then we can discuss, when and where, or when and what time that public meeting can occur. We could do that now if you want. That's fine by me.
Well, because we have to somewhat meet the deadlines in December. I mean, we don't have that much time in December to do what we need to do, and for county council to meet. So when are they meeting in December that we would have to give them our?
Well, so I've made a request to through the county manager. I've made a request for the county council to have a special meeting at the end of December, and I'm actually meeting with the county council next week, I think. The county manager is meeting one-on-one with the councilors currently just to discuss the need to for the interest that this committee has in the county council meeting at the end of December. So that's
Okay. A work in progress.
Thank you. That's the right phrase. A work in progress. But there's no reason we as a committee couldn't schedule the public meeting, and if that's what you want to do.
And I would like to see it, just because December ends up getting busy, or used to, because of people are having all these different holiday parties and this and that. I don't know.
Yeah. So let's work out this timeline right now. So
we have to be approved by the 31st. That's December, which means
state law says it's supposed to be done by December 31, right? So we're going to meet on the 20. What do we say? The 23rd, right?
23rd and 29th.
23rd, 29, and we're going to get 3 plans to consider. 29th is when we may adopt the plan on the 29th. Is that? I think that's what I heard. That's
yes.
Maybe.
Can I chime in right quick, Greg? Let me retract getting that email out today, because one thing I forgot to mention is that I want to do some just a little bit of research into the household, the income sizes of each household.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would comment, Kamal, that there's nothing in law that asks the redistricting process to incorporate household income.
Okay.
It certainly doesn't mean you can't, in your own sort of mind, you can't take that into account.
Mm-hmm.
So when do you?
Can we do Paul, can I get that over to you tomorrow instead?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay.
And Paul, you still think you could get the maps to us the same time frame you were talking before?
Yeah, I will start on my alternatives first.
Yeah, okay.
In terms of Kamal's map, it will depend on how many precincts need to be changed.
Yeah.
Now, since we're pushed out to the 29th anyways, can we just give Paul till Wednesday instead?
Well, we're meeting on the 23rd as well to talk about the the
That's what I'm
maps.
saying. That 23rd, move it to the 24th, I guess.
The day before Thanksgiving?
The day before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I guess I actually would, I have a personal preference to do it on the 23rd instead of the 24th.
Okay.
So,
Mm.
but do people agree that on the 29th, there's at least the possibility of adopting a plan on the 29th?
Yeah.
And when we
So
say
here's-
adopting a plan, I think we should be clear that what we're talking about is adopting a plan that we will present for public comment that we might still make changes to
Yep.
after public comment, correct? It's
Yep.
not, you know, a final plan.
Absolutely. Well, it's
Final draft.
final plan.
Yeah.
I guess it's final plan subject to amendments
Mhm.
based on comments from the public.
Yep, okay.
Does that make
But
sense?
yeah, so here's a suggestion because of, we're not positive we're going to get all the stuff or if we're actually going to totally be done on the 29th. Could we do the public hearing on the 14th of December?
Hang on, Janet, just a second. So the 14th is
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
So that's, why would we want to go out that far?
You think we could get it done by the 7th?
Well, my only comment is, again, recognizing that it's just a possibility that we adopt the plan on the 29th that's subject to public comment. We then can have a public meeting 7 days after that to hear the public comment. And recognizing all this is subject to adjustments as we go forward. But sitting here right now, an ideal scenario that I'm describing, we could have that public meeting on the 29th, December 7th.
Okay.
Oh, is that right? I'm looking at the wrong month.
No, December 7th is a Tuesday.
Oh, so you could have it on December 6th, I guess. But, anytime that,
Yeah.
but we could have it later too, if if the committee prefers to have it later, we could have it later. But I think,
Well, let's aim for the 7th because that gives us more time to do what we need to do, and we're still kind of dependent on county council to meet.
Is there a reason we're picking Tuesday rather than Wednesday or Thursday?
my only,
The county meets on Wednesdays, don't they?
no, they meet Tuesdays and Wednesdays. But Morgan, my only reason for that is that the 7th is earlier than the 8th or the 9th.
Mm.
So my only thought
and-
would be
and-
like the 8th or the 9th might give us, let's say things don't go great with us reaching a consensus on the 29th. Maybe we then are like, oh, well, we need to meet on December 1st. If we scheduled it for the 8th or the 9th, then we could still have enough notice with submitting the plan.
Well, so
I thought we could meet on Wednesdays.
So if we fail to adopt a plan on the 29th, Morgan, then I would envision rescheduling the public meeting. I mean, but to think through the scenario you described, okay, you failed to adopt a plan on the 29th, then we're going to have another meeting of this committee. And that's, I don't know when that might be, but so if we meet on 29th, we fail to adopt the plan, maybe we meet on December 3rd, 4 days later, and consider the plan again. If we adopt it at that point in time, we then still need to get 7 days notice for the public meeting. So then we are at, at least December 10th for the public meeting. Which, that's if that's what happens, that's what happens. But if we can, if we think there's a possibility of adopting a plan on the 29th, then we could meet on December 6th, and then we have to have a meeting after the public meeting to do the final sort of adoption.
Well, why don't we suggest a meeting on the 29th, like we said, and then scheduling another meeting on December 1st, 2 days later, so that we can still try to meet going forward. Because I'm not sure how much more time we need to tweak the thing, how many days we all need.
So you want to schedule a meeting on December 1 with the
If
idea
we
that,
have to, yeah.
So
with
like a tentative meeting.
with the idea that we're not with the idea that we're, you know, if we're not able to meet on the 29th, we'll meet on the 1st.
No, we'll meet on the 29th, but if we don't agree on the 29th,
Right. That's
Mhm.
we
that's
meet
that's
on
what
the
I said.
1st.
That's what I said. Sort of, as Morgan said, sort of a tentative meeting.
Mhm.
That's fine. And we could, you know, we could do the same thing for the public meeting. We could schedule 2 of those and cancel one if we needed to. I'm going to call it 12-1, tentative meeting. If needed, to adopt plans subject to public comment.
Greg, this is Tina. I just want to say one thing
Thank you.
regarding publishing the public meeting notice. For instance, if we send a public meeting notice to the Columbian, like, let's say Monday, the 22nd, they need 3 days before they'll publish it in the paper. So we need a 3-day leeway. Plus they do not publish on Mondays. So we have to take that into account.
Okay. Well, I think that will all work fine, Tina, because we are right now creating a meeting schedule that we can send to the Columbian today, if needed. I mean, we could send it today.
Yes, I plan on doing the public meeting, special meeting notice for the 2 meetings on the same one, and then I could get one to the Columbian. Yes.
Right. Okay, so we've got 11/29, meeting to adopt the plans, subject to public comment. 12/1, another meeting, if needed, to adopt plans subject to public comment. And then we have the public meeting.
So do we need to go to December, Thursday, the 9th? Is that what?
Well, so what I would recommend is we schedule 2 public meetings. One that we'd use if we adopt plan on the 29th, one we use if we adopt on the 1st.
Would that make it complicated though for people who are hoping to attend and not knowing which one, if we're planning to cancel one, like that might make it harder for them to know which one to schedule to be at, if you're a member of the public.
It would.
So I just wonder if maybe, I mean,
Want to just schedule one on 12/8?
yeah, it's like, could we just schedule on the 8th and then that'll cover our bases?
Sure.
I thought we couldn't meet on Wednesdays
Why not?
at night. I thought the county council or something meets then. Can we meet then?
The redistricting committee usually meets Wednesday evenings. I don't know, that schedule changed for the election. I don't know what it is after the election. I can find out, or actually Tina may know what the charter commission's schedule is, but that was the conflict initially for Wednesdays, was that the charter commission was meeting. It was the first Wednesday of the month, but I don't know what it is now.
It is. It's going to be every Wednesday. We don't have a meeting, of course, next week, but every Wednesday in December at 5 o'clock, and us as staff are staffing that meeting at the time. So
Yeah, and this is Chuck Green. Our next regular meetings are scheduled for December 8th or 1st and 8th. The ones after December 8th are if needed, but currently not on our work plan.
Well, my first reaction to all that was we can meet whenever we want, but then my second reaction is, as a practical matter, we can't do it without Tina. So recognizing the scarcity of available resources, can we just schedule on 12/9, the Thursday the 9th? For the public meeting? Any objections to that?
And that would still be the same time, 8:30?
No, this is.
No, that'd be, I'm sorry, in the evening. So it'd be,
Yeah, I heard a desire to have this meeting, the public meeting, in the evening.
so
I
we're
think it
talking-
makes it more democratic because it gives more people an opportunity to participate.
So does that make sense to everyone to schedule that public meeting on the 9th of December?
That's good.
Are we going to do that at
And-
7?
Greg, I'm assuming, do you want this on CVTV? I would have to see if they're available.
I don't have a strong opinion on that one way or another. Does the committee?
Well, if we made it on TV, would we be able to take comments?
Yes.
Well, we can take comments doing it online, doing it the way we're doing it now as well, and also it can, these meetings are available to people to watch online. They're recorded, so they're on YouTube. So the only advantage of having CVTV there is that in real time, people are able to see what's going on.
Well, the other thing is, for some people don't understand all of this technology, and at least they might be able to use their TV.
Tina, do you know if CVTV, I guess these recordings are not put on CVTV, they're only put on YouTube, right?
Our meetings are put on YouTube, but when CVTV is covering
Yeah.
it, we put their link out on the web for people to watch after the fact, and they can watch on channel 23 during the hearing.
Well, I'm going to express my own view that moving this thing forward in a timely manner while providing enough time for the public to provide input is important. If CVTV is available to broadcast this in real time, that's fantastic. But I'm, as for myself, I'm quite willing to move forward with, and I do believe that someone can log on and watch it. Someone can go on YouTube and watch it. If they don't have access to the technology, they can contact us. We'll send them a link to the YouTube thing. And again, hopefully CVTV can broadcast it, but if they can't, I do believe we still provide adequate opportunity for the public to provide comments and to observe the process. So I would advocate to have a public meeting on the 12/9 and whether or not CVTV can broadcast it.
I think that's
Was that-
fair because you're also giving them a chance to arrange their schedule.
Other comments?
What
are
time?
we thinking?
I don't care.
So 7 o'clock does work better for me because of childcare, but this is a one-off. So if we think that that's too late for people, I think that as long as it's not our regular meeting time, I'm okay with doing earlier. I know I was the person who was pushing against doing 6 for regular meetings.
I'd just soon do it at 5:30 in the evening just to kind of get it done myself. But what do other people? What time would other people like to do it on the evening of the 9th?
5:30, 6 o'clock. Works for me.
I was thinking more like 6 o'clock.
6?
Yeah, that's
Not too late.
Janet, does 6 o'clock work for you?
I don't care. I mean, it doesn't matter.
And Morgan, 6 o'clock doesn't work
Yep,
for
that
you. You're
works.
willing to go with it.
I was gonna say 6 would not work if it was something we were having a regular meeting, but a one-time thing. It's fine.
Okay.
Okay.
And then, so the 9th, and then we have to have a meeting of this committee after the public meeting to then consider the comments from the public meeting and to again consider adopting a plan that submits to the council. So the 12/9. So if we met the following Monday, the 13th at 8:30, would that work for people?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Let me see. Let me see. Yeah, I think that'll work. That'll work.
Morgan, Janet?
Yes, that works for me.
Okay. Juan, I think I heard you say.
Yeah, that works for me.
All right. Well, good.
Well, will the 13th meeting be at 8:30?
Yeah, that's what I had asked. I think everyone said that works for them.
Yeah, works.
Paul, I didn't really bring you into this discussion. Those days
No.
work for you?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Ooh, nice.
Most importantly.
Mhm.
Okay, let me just go through this one more time then. So on 11/23, we expect to have 3 plans to consider. 11/29, we have a meeting where we have the opportunity to adopt a plan subject to the public comment. On 12/1, we're scheduling another meeting that may be needed if we're not able to adopt a plan on the 29th. Again, on 12/1, that adoption would still be subject to the public comment, of course. On 12/9, we have a public meeting to receive comments from the public on the plan that we adopted on either the 29th or the 1st. And then on 12/13, the committee has a meeting to incorporate public comment, or to decide whether or not there's any public comment to incorporate, and to adopt the plan that's submitted to the council. Does that meet with everyone's understanding? Well, thank you everyone for your willingness to really bear down at this point in time.
Man, it's a lot of work.
Yeah, really appreciate it. So that kind of covers 2 items on the agenda: good of the order and future meetings. Is there anything else that people want to bring forward? All right. Hearing nothing. Paul Newman, do you have any clarification or any questions? Any complaints?
Oh, I'm just a little curious about what will happen when the state Supreme Court does release a final plan for the legislative districts.
Oh, what a downer you are, Paul.
Oh, sorry. Whoops. It just should have kept my mouth shut.
So, what's going to happen is we're going to do whatever they tell us to do.
Yeah.
We're hoping that first, most importantly, we hope the Supreme Court will do whatever they're going to do really fast. That's the biggest thing. We have to have all this all these boundary adjustments done in time for candidate filing in the middle of May. And so if the Supreme Court's plan changes a bunch of precinct boundaries, it's going to be a challenge.
Okay.
But that is just the reality we're dealing with.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, I'm good.
You're not good, but you're willing to take on the challenge. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Anything else from members of the committee?
There's a question.
Oh, I don't see that. In the chat?
Yes.
From Jackie?
No, it's one of the constituents that was listening earlier has raised their hand.
Oh. Does the
Did you want
constituent-
to see if she wanted to ask a question or?
Sure.
Okay.
Hi
Jackie,
there.
if you,
This
Go
is
ahead.
Jackie Lane, and I did put it in the Q&A, but I heard originally Janet had suggested that polls come back with a map, so I got that. Kamal wanted to propose a map, but now you're talking about 3 maps. I missed what the third one is for you guys to consider.
So I think I'm going to let Paul Newman answer that question.
Thank you.
Right. In responding to Janet, I offered to create 2 alternatives. So I'll be creating 2 maps, 2 alternatives, and then Kamal's will be the third.
Okay, what's the difference between your 2 alternatives?
The boundaries will be different. I'll be looking at the different alternatives to make the goal is, of course, to make the population equal between the districts, the 5 districts. And so I'll just be looking at different options of adjusting the boundaries to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, certainly.
All right. Well, very good. Appreciate the committee's indulging me and letting members of the public make a comment outside of the agenda. So thank you for that. So unless any members of the committee have any other items to bring forward, I'm going to call the meeting to an end. Seeing no other items, I'll just again, thank you so much everyone for willingness to bear down at this point. Really appreciate it. And I guess we'll see you next week.
Next week.
All right.
Thank you, Paul.
Bye.
Thanks everyone.
You're welcome. Good to see
Everybody.
everybody.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
Bye.
Later, y'all.